Should I tell you about Harlan Coben a bit?
Yeah, sure thing. Tell me about that.
I will tell you about Harlan
What
Coben.
else? Because you said there was a few other Netflix productions based on his work, right?
I cannot differentiate between any of these shows. Okay?
Right.
I have watched every fucking one of them. And they all follow exactly the same kind of formula, and immediately, like, after watching the finer points of the
stranger,
plots.
the woods, the innocent, gone for good, stay close, hold tight, fool me once.
Yeah, just like cliched aphorism. Like, they're literally like
a lot of those, yeah.
These fucking shows.
I've not seen a single one, I gotta say.
You are missing out, because like, these are shows, they are not films. Every one of these is like 8 episodes. You stick it on for 8 hours and you forget that you exist, basically. You disappear into the surreal world of Harlan Coben. Now, okay, he's not a surrealist in the mode of like Louis Buñuel, but there is something profoundly unreal, at the very least, about his work. So, Harlan Coben, bald apparently, I'm just looking at a picture of him. This picture looks shopped, like there's something behind his head that just looks like someone hasn't cut out something from the like
on
head
Wikipedia.
On Wikipedia, yeah. The little black bit behind his head, it looks like somebody hasn't photoshopped out something from the background of the photo from which they have superimposed his head into this photo. Lending further credence, a sort of Polly Toynbee's Guardian byline photo situation. Like, this lends further credence to my contention that Harlan Coben is not real. I have seen no evidence that this man has ever existed. I have never even seen, let alone read, a single one of his books, like, in real life. I've watched every single thing that has ever been adapted from one of them on Netflix, and still, I have never been in a bookshop and just looked over and Harlan Coben's name has caught my eye. I strongly suspect that, as opposed to a person, he's just some kind of algorithm that they have on the computers in the Netflix offices that generates, like, racy thrillers, essentially. I think... Because these shows, they're all fucking exactly the same. They're all basically, there's a family, and they're a nice middle-class family. I feel like in his books, they're probably all white people, but they sometimes have to, like, change them to ethnic minorities in the show. But generally, like, privileged white people. And there's one family, and they seem perfect, but actually they're hiding a dark secret, which will become increasingly apparent as the show goes on. Every episode, by the way, there's a twist. That's the formula. They'll flip the character's motivations on you or whatever at the end of the episode. And the latest of these shows is called Fool Me Once. And I think that rather than just trying to talk about his oeuvre in general, of which, like I say, I have a very slim grasp of all the various plot points of the specific works, I think it would be better just to tell you about Fool Me Once.
Yeah.
Again, I can't remember whether it's called Fool Me Once or Fool Me Twice. I know it's Fool Me Once.
I think it's Fool Me Once.
No, I know because I just checked, but once
right,
once this conversation's over, that information will disappear from my brain.
Right, yes.
So this is, like, hardcore Coben. Like, this is like the most...
For the real Coben heads.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the most... When you got thriller series like Harlan Coben in them, you can't lose. Like, this is like the most Coben shit that I've ever seen. So, let's start. Middle class family. Check. You got this woman called Maya. I forget who plays her. Let me look. Michelle Keegan. So she seems like this, you know, she's like a nice middle-class mum, though they quickly reveal that she is ex-forces, not just ex-forces apparently, but like a literal war criminal. More of that later. But anyway, so she's grieving after the death of her husband and the death of her sister, and she is raising her young daughter, Lily, and lives in a fucking enormous house, like her husband. So, like, every family portrayed in a serialized television show now, her husband was, like, the scion of the, like, big pharma dynasty, run by Joanna Lumley and her, like, comically posh Etonian other son. It's just like a sort of, like, pencil-necked dickless freak. Like, then they like, one day her friend comes over and is like, look, I've got a present for you. And Michelle Keegan Meyer is like, oh, cool, what is it? And she's like, it's a nanny cam. It's a camera that you hide in, like, a photo frame, and it films your nanny while you're at work, because you can never be too careful. And she's just like, I guess Maya is like, yeah, coming to think about it, I do not trust my broadly Eastern European maid. I think
I don't trust the person that I literally hired to do this. Yeah,
it's so funny, like, the Eastern European maid, like, it's the most like stock Eastern European maid you can imagine. So one day Maya is at work and she's like spying on her babysitter, and she sees that this she doesn't see the woman there. She sees that her husband, her supposedly dead husband, is like sitting in a chair and like playing with her daughter, and she's like, what the fuck? So she gets home and she just starts yelling at the Eastern European maid. She's like, why did you, what, has my husband been in here? You need to look at this. And like, she grabs her, and it's that thing where somebody like doesn't explain like the crucial information when they could just say, look, just look at this, my husband. Or she doesn't even try and like make an excuse for why she's filming her Eastern European maid. she might as well just say,
you get it, right?
Yeah. She's like, you're filming me? And she's like, she might as well just say, yeah, well, you know, I'm worried that you're going to steal the silverware. But she basically gets pepper sprayed in the face by her maid, who then runs away. And so this, like, sparks, like, a chain of events. Like, because this adaptation of what I assume is in his source material is, like, for most that I've seen Harlan Coben try and, like, grapple with the absurdities of the modern day. This is Harlan Coben commenting on the modern world, and what is that all about, eh? It turns out that the footage of her dead husband was deep faked by the Eastern European maid and her husband at the end. Like, she corners them in a car park with a gun, and she's like, I'll fucking shoot you. I think she maybe even does, like, non-fatally shoot the husband, but they're like, we deep-faked it! We used deep-fake technology! Because Joanna Lumley told us to. I had, by the way, totally, like, Mandela affected that Joanna Lumley had died recently. It turns out that she's still with us. I legit was watching this thinking it was a posthumous role. But she is like the matriarch of the big pharma dynasty, and yeah, she suspected that Maya killed her son, aka her husband. So Maya killed her husband, who is Joanna Lumley's son. I mean, like, and she decided to like do Russian-style disinformation to like confuse her about things and make her reveal that she killed the husband, which, by the way, revealed in the last episode she actually did. That's like the final twist, or the penultimate twist. I don't know, dude. There's a lot of twists.
One of those really twisty-turny ones, huh?
That's all Coben does, man. I think I think he must like block his stories out, and he's like, okay, this is part one. What's the twist for this bit? What's the twist for that bit?
Every chapter's gotta keep them hanging.
Yeah, but for me, like, the best bits were like the attempt at social commentary. So, like, Maya is a former fighter jet pilot. She has spent her life, you know, being a top military fucking British version of the American sniper, like doing mad cool shit in the Middle East. In never referred to which country she served in. I don't think it's just like Joanna Lumley would be
one of those ones.
Godforsaken country, that shithole country.
Yeah.
but basically, while she was out there in undisclosed Middle Eastern country, she brutally murdered like a car full of civilians because like she was in the middle of this combat situation, and what's more, her superiors actually told her not to brutally murder these civilians, so she defied
good guy superiors.
Yeah, so she defied orders to do it, but what she did was she turned off comms so that the other guy who she was flying and shooting with didn't hear that the orders were actually not to fire on them.
Yeah.
And later on she's like, I wish I could go back and there are terrorists there and I kill them or I don't kill anyone or there's no civilians. It's just like, I mean, I talked about Waltz with Bashir, but that is fucking shooting and crying.
Oh, yeah.
But that brings me to the next character in this, who is a whistleblower who is called, I shit you not, Corey the Whistle. You can tell now he seems less of a whistleblower to me, because a whistleblower on military stuff, I believe, would be somebody who is in the military.
Yeah.
Would that be right? Is that,
or at least like a contractor, or some way
you have to be some kind of
yeah.
insider to be a whistleblower.
Yeah.
He seems like less of a whistleblower and more sort of a gamer. Oh, well, a hacker at least. But there are multiple scenes of him.
Oh, so he's like he like hacked and leaked some information?
Yeah. See, I don't think Harlan Coben understands that, like, WikiLeaks are like the hackers. Snowden is the whistleblower. You know what I mean? Like, that's the dynamic. This guy is more kind of like an Assange type, I guess. But he is such a fucking whistleblower that he is called Corey the Whistle. And you see him in multiple scenes aggressively playing video games. He's really posh. He's got silly, floppy, dyed blonde hair. He's got his ear pierced.
But does he have a double-barreled name?
Well, I don't know, because his fucking name is Corey the Whistle.
He's not that posh, then.
He's such a whistleblower, despite literally not being a whistleblower, that he is literally called the Whistle. So he basically, he's like this kind of deep, like, I'm anonymous, like, for the organisation. He's like, I'm like the baddest guy on the internet. But he had a tape of Maya literally committing war crimes, and he fucking only released the bit of the tape where she defied orders, not the bit where you see her murdering civilians, because, and I quote, he says to her, "Sometimes to live with yourself is punishment enough." Now, I believe that the main leak that you can associate with WikiLeaks is the Collateral Murder video, which is footage of a US fighter pilot murdering journalists. And I don't believe that the thought process of... Was that actually Chelsea Manning who leaked that to WikiLeaks?
I think... I don't really... I don't know.
Well, okay, but Corey the Whistle, again, not a whistleblower. Like, a hacker citizen journalist. Yeah. He's more analogous to Julian Assange. And I don't think Julian Assange said to himself, I don't think we should release this because, like, the war criminal in it probably feels really bad about killing those journalists. That is like a fuck. This guy, he's always saying shit like, "You're military lot," like contemptuous shit about. He's like, "I speak truth. I take down the establishment." But then at the same time, he's just like, no, pretty lady might feel bad about war crimes, so I won't expose that."
A bit inconsistent.
Unbelievable.
But hey, Tony Blair's never going to go before the Hague, but at least he's got to live with himself.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And, that's... It's not good enough, is it? And,
no.
Anyway, what else? Just going through Harlan Coben comment, like, noticing that the world is changing around him. There's this one bit where, like, basically, like, the one POC character who's, like, in it for more than one scene is this guy he's called Detective Shami Kius, I think. Basically, his surname, Kius, just sounds like fucking Harlan Coben watched Piers Morgan interview Keir Starmer and just morph their names together. But he's an Asian guy, and he's, like, the only character. And there is an Asian guy who you meet briefly. Like, Kius is, I don't know, he might be, like, Indian or Pakistani or something, but the guy you see, people often use Asian despite it being the biggest continent in the world, to just mean like Chinese or Japanese or Korean or whatever. And there is, at one point, her psychiatrist, Dr. Wu, turns up, which I thought was like the most half-assed name to like give like a Far Eastern character. Dr. Wu. I'm sure it is something people are called. Like, the Wu-Tang Clan didn't get Wu from nowhere, but like, it's just like, how many other characters in fiction are going to be called Dr. Wu? And they're usually like some evil plastic surgeon who's come along to, I don't know, turn you trans against your consent or something. So, like, Detective Kearse, he's a classic detective who is, like, always wearing a long overcoat, even when he attends AA meetings and shit.
Classic.
And he's always, like, disheveled. And they have this whole thing throughout it where it's, like, he seems to be suffering from some kind of cognitive decline or something, which he keeps having, like, blackouts and crashes his car and shit. I thought they did that much better in Paul Schrader's much compromised film, The Dying of the Light, where Nicolas Cage played that CIA agent dealing with frontotemporal dementia. But anyway, there's just some
the recut of that is so great.
Oh yeah, Dark is amazing. But even in Dying of the Light, Cage's performance is so good at conveying that.
I don't think I've seen the original, but I mean, Cage is great in it.
Detective Kearse. Anyway, seeing as I'm spoiling all the twists, like, it turns out that Detective Kearse, his mysterious ailment is actually that he's been hallucinating because he's been taking drugs, pharmaceuticals, manufactured by Joanna Lumley's big pharma company. Everything always links up in Harlan Coben shit. All the characters are always connected, right? So, it's fucking hilarious. Like, the whole, like, show, he's been having conversations with this woman you assume is his AA sponsor, but then it just turns out that she's like his dead wife who was like murdered, and he's just hallucinating her the entire time. He's just been like having conversations with nobody for like the whole fucking show. So yeah, he's just been tripping. It's so funny when they reveal that he's been like hallucinating half the show. I don't think
Fantastic.
Yeah. He's teamed up with a new partner who's like this kind of young, confident, good-looking guy. You know, he's like a classic new woke cop. He does everything by the book. And it's just that there's this reveal that the young cop is gay, which is just so funny to me. It's just like Harlan Coben just thinks that everyone is going to be like, oh my god, like the tall, young, handsome guy is gay, because I guess he's, you know, kind of masculine, like he's a big guy and everything, and it's like the fact that when he says that he's seeing a guy called Lance, and Kearse pauses as if, oh no, is he gonna be homophobic to him? And then he's like, well, I hope Lance likes energy drinks or some shit. It's like Harlan Coben thinks that that's like going to be a genuine scene of tension to people, that like, oh my god, is this detective who presumably is like one of the heroes of your show going to be able to handle that someone is gay? Again.
Yeah.
Harlan noticing that the world is changing.
Like something that would have been like a big social justice point in like the 90s, maybe.
Yeah, no, it literally was like the kind of thing that would have been surprising in the 90s. Like now you just have characters who are gay. Like it's not like shock reveal. It's not like the scene in the Crying Game where you find out that the woman is trans and you get like the shock reveal of the dick. Like one of the worst scenes in any film, I think. Basically, now you can just have characters be gay, you know? But there is another scene where, like, these two young kids, whose mum was the murdered sister of Maya, the main character, go to, like, this new fancy corporation, and as soon as they get into, like, this high-tech modern office, they're greeted by a woke robot that asks for their pronouns. And it's so funny to me, just like CP30, just like woke iteration. Yeah. Like, what if we have a wokebot 3000? That would be... It kind of reminded me of, like, the robot scene in Rocky 4. You know the one I mean? But, like, updated for the modern age, made woke.
I have seen it, but I don't remember off the top of my head the robot.
Didn't we watch that with Tom?
Yeah,
for the show?
I remember there being like lots of machines around the Russian dude as he's training.
I think it's earlier in the film. Like Rocky just has a fucking robot for some reason.
I don't remember that. Why don't I remember that? It's so weird. I believe you, but yeah, I don't.
It's like Richard Armitage, who
might have been during my benzo phase.
Richard Armitage, who seems to be like Harlan Coben's muse. He starred in a bunch of other Coben Netflix productions. He basically plays the dead husband in flashbacks. And like, there's this one scene where he's like seducing Maya back in the day, and he puts on fucking the mod father, fucking Paul Weller, mate. He puts Weller on the stereo, and he's like, "This is where you fall in love with me because of my impeccable taste in music." Just like, ladies, I have heard every Weller album. I'm putting that out there on the market. If that's a thing, if knowing about Paul Weller is you know the key to this shit, then I'm your man. But there are probably like 60-year-old guys with mod haircuts who are more your man than me. Anyway, yeah, that was fun. And in his defense, it was the song "You Do Something to Me" rather than like one of the rockers where Paul Weller's telling you how cool his clothing collection is, like Peacock Suit. There's a funny line I noted where like her friend says to her, "I made a terrible mistake giving you that nanny cam." I was like, really? I could not have anticipated that having hidden cameras in your house would have caused drama within a Harlan Coben production. There's also a bit where, just hitting on all the little fucking cliched bits that made me laugh so much. There's this one scene where, like, the sleuth kids, they're, like, solving this problem. They're trying to get to the bottom of what happened to their mum, and they seem to have a mysterious sibling that they've never met before. And, like, the son is like, "Oh no, we can't do this thing." And then literally they don't even bother breaking up the line with like the daughter saying something. He's like, "Actually, yes, we can do this thing. Here is how I do." It's just just very sloppy writing. And then there's another bit.
And editing by the sounds of it.
There was a bit which was fucking hilarious to me, which was where Kearse goes to the doctor to get his diagnosis for all the shit that's been happening to him, but turns out just that he's been poisoned by Big Pharma, like all those people who got those COVID vaccines. Then basically, like, while he's getting his diagnosis, it has that thing where he like disassociates and the music gets really loud and they like turn down what the doctor's saying so you can't hear it. Just another great way of Harlan Coben not having to tell you anything about this guy's ailment until the end, when he's just like,
I didn't bother researching any medicine stuff.
It was the House of Usher at the end of the day. And so it turns out that Michelle Keegan's deceased husband was like a real sick fuck in his life, actually. Don't be fooled by his knowledge of Paul Weller. He, like, she meets like this schoolmate of his and they're like, young boys away from home. And then they cut to like footage of like fucking Lord of the Flies. It's just like a bunch of teens like dancing around a fire wearing creepy masks and like tying somebody up. And you're like, you know, just boys being boys, young boys away from home. Anyway, what it turns out here is that her husband, like, when he was at school, he like force-fed this other student on his football team alcohol until he died, and then his own brother felt really bad about that, so he pushed him off a yacht to his death. Murdered these two kids.
Nice.
Yeah, they reveal later on that Kearse's ex was murdered. That's before you find out that that's the person who he's talking to, who seems to be his AA sponsor. Maya has her sister-in-law saved in her phone as sister-in-law. I wasn't sure if that was an attempt to be funny. It's just like, oh yeah, this is how little she thinks of her, or if it was just like, just in case anyone can't remember who Caroline is. She's like in the interrogation room and there's holes in her story that she's told the cops, and she's like refusing to reveal anything until fucking literally Detective Kearse just bangs on the table and immediately she raps out Corey the Whistle. just straight up, just bang.
Not the whistle.
It's like we were talking about Designated Survivor and like every single scene. Maggie Q? Is it Maggie Q who's in Designated Survivor?
Yes.
Come on, that's the best thing we've ever watched for this show. Designated Survivor.
Designated Survivor. Wait,
No, it is. It is.
Lucy Liu?
It's Maggie Hugh. I've nailed it. It was definitely Maggie Hugh.
Oh, you've dragged me into your racism. Thanks.
Yeah, I've brought you down to my level. Yeah, Designated Survivor kills off Hannah Wells. I remember when that happened. That was so ineffectual. Anyway, every single time she interrogates a suspect, she always does the same thing where she's like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. And then she like walks out of the room and they're like, no, I'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
They're always staying strong just up until the point
like a
that
bird.
She threatens to walk out of the room. Anyway, I took as a note here, Lumley not so bad after all, because she kind of has like a sister's bonding moment with Maya, and then it turns out, no, she is pretty bad actually. Deep fake twist, I noted down. Oh yeah, there's a bit where, so like Kies, the entire time, has been suffering from these cognitive issues, and he's been like blacking out and falling over and all this shit. So what do you imagine would happen when he chases a suspect up onto a roof?
Someone gets pushed off a roof?
Somebody is definitely falling off that roof, aren't they? So he gets involved in a high-speed chase with the suspect up onto a roof, high speed, I mean, it's on foot, but they're running pretty fast.
They're topping 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Yeah. They get up on the roof, and it seems like he's averted the situation. He's tracked the guy down. The guy is, like, safely leaning against a chimney. He's not going to fall, and then he gives Kies all this really useful information. And then Kies starts having one of his episodes, and he's wavering on top of the building. He's like, oh no! And this guy who's just been really helpful to him, obviously, it's just like, oh, I'll come and help you. I'll come and save you. Even though you're just chasing me, I'll come and save your life. And obviously that guy falls off the roof when he does that. Incredibly funny. I will close with 2 character names. So, it's a dark, mysterious character alluded to throughout the series. You never actually meet him, but you know, there's a certain darkness to this guy. He's sort of in the shadows, blah blah. This guy's called Tommy Dark. Harlan Coben, just like, oh, what a working class scum called. Well, I guess they'd have a name like Ramsbottom, but on the streets. If you're called Ramsbottom, on the streets, they would call you Rambo. Bringing this back to our friend Sylvester Stallone. And that is fucking funny. It's just like a working class lowlife called Rambo.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll just check my Twitter thread just about it, just to see if there's anything I missed out, but I think that's pretty much it. Harlan Coben is fucking amazing, dude. Like, I would be, like, broadly okay if Harlan Coben adaptations occupied roughly the same percentage of the televisual marketplace as Marvel do, the cinematic universe. The cinematic marketplace, or Marvel do the televisual marketplace.
Yeah.
This stuff is amazing, man. It is unbelievable.
It sounds like they're kind of trying.
It really does feel algorithmically generated to me. It feels, Harlan Coben's work feels, and I don't, the guy is a great auteur in his own way, but it does feel a lot like the Roger Londonderry stories that we read on the show a little while back. Like, someone is just feeding points into a machine. Maybe it's like a manatee situation as portrayed in South Park. I don't know, but he's fucking amazing. It almost makes me want to have a terrible new year in 2025, just so I have nothing better to do than to gulp down the latest swill from Coben.
Well, in August 2018, Netflix signed a 5-year contract to adapt 14 crime novels by Harlan Coben.
Great. I never have to leave the house again. That is incredible.
Yeah, they got you covered, Jack.
Oh my god, that's so... That is
and it
so
seems
wild.
like... So, have you've seen all of them so far?
I think so. I mean, I've definitely seen the one with the bloke from Dexter in it.
Because what's interesting to me is that, like, it seems like instead of, like, in order to get out these 14 adaptations in 5 years, they're doing them all over the world. Because there's, like, been 3 British series, 2 Polish ones, a French one and a Spanish one.
Yep, and I watched them all with English dubs. I just pretend that it's just more American or British, more English language slop from the Coben bucket.
Wow. Yeah, they've been busy. I was kind of curious, like, where he was from. Does he have, like, a connection to, like, Poland? Is that why they've done 2 adaptations? He seems to just be, like, some American Jewish fellow.
Yeah. Why is all his shit set in Britain, then? Does he live over here?
I don't know. I mean...
Bet he's anti-Corbyn.
I wonder if his books are ever, like, are set in Britain. I wonder if he's like, oh, well, Britain's all, like, old-timey and... foggy, right? It's a good place to set stories.
That's amazing. Yeah, and Amazon are making Harlan Coben adaptations as well. Like,
oh my god, really?
Yeah. They're all getting in on it.
He's turning in. He is a brand. Yeah.
And he's in his early 60s, and it just all seems to be happening for him now, which is like,
right.
Dream big, I guess. It could happen.
I guess what's gone on is they're scraping the barrel for like existing properties, right?
He's just been shitting out.
Oh my god, you've got 1,000 books. I'm signing you now.
Wait till they find out how many Roger Londonderry he has. But yeah, like fucking, he's been churning out this shit since like 1995. Got alarmingly prolific in recent years.
Yeah.
I think he's a greater artist, but I reckon they're thinking like, oh, Stephen King's even older than 62. He's going to be dead soon. We need another guy who just has reams and reams of fucking material in a kind of pulpy, accessible vein.
Like, yeah, you'll do.
He's the anointed one. It's like, yeah, they've just settled on him, like, okay, this is our
and
guy.
Only half of his books have Wikipedia pages. So
I know,
this is kind of obscure.
Is he an industry plant? Is this what... He lives in New Jersey, by the way. I have no idea why all this shit is set in Britain. Like, fucking...
Yeah.
But is this the industry plant that we've all heard about? He then began writing a series of thrillers involving a former basketball player turned sports agent, Myron Bolitar.
Yeah, he's got a whole series.
Who often finds himself investigating murders involving his clients. That feel when the clients begin.
And then
murdered.
There's another little series called Mickey Bolitar. That's a spin-off of that.
Who the fuck is that? Like his son or something?
And another spin-off, Windsor Horn Lockwood III.
That's the name of a sports agent, is it? Like, so imagine some, like, fucking football, like, yeah, I just gotta talk to my agent, Windsor Horn Lockwood III. Yeah.
They call him Horny on the streets.
Oh, no, shit, okay, he's been writing this shit since 1990, at least, because that's when his first standalone novel came out. It's just Myron Bolitar.
Oh, sure.
What kind of a name is Myron Bolitar supposed to be? The series protagonist is the 31-year-old formerly renowned basketball player and is the owner of MB Sports Reps, an agency representing sports stars and celebrities.
Myron sounds like a nerd, not like a basketball player.
Well, I'm going to correct you there. Bolitar is 6 feet 4 inches tall and considered handsome by many people.
Handsome nerd.
Yeah. I don't think they've adapted any of the Myron Bolitar series, though. It seems to be like the standalone novels.
Yeah, they got a whole MCU thing to do there.
Yeah.
For sure. Get it all connected.
Yeah, I don't think we've had
Well,
any.
Shelter, which is what they said that Amazon is adapting, is part of the Mickey Bolitar series, spin-off series, so they're adapting a spin-off before they adapt any of the real ones.
That was like a young adult thing, so I'm guessing that is...
Okay.
After his father's sudden death, Mickey Bolitar starts a new life in Castleton, New Jersey. There you go, so I guess Myron dies, and Mickey's his son.
And then if that does well, they'll go back and do all the Myron Bolitar.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I haven't watched that one because it's like young adult shit, and that's not my vibe.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, if you get desperate enough.
Yeah, if I'm really jonesing for that Coben fix. I'm trying to think, did I watch Hold Tight? Yeah, no, I definitely did, yeah. An 18-year-old goes missing shortly after his friend's death, sending an affluent housing estate in Warsaw into a frenzy. Okay, I can't say I watched that for definite, but it does sound familiar. But like I say, like an 18-year-old mysteriously dies is like the plot of every Harlan Coben thing.
It's a bit Mad Libs, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Exactly.
Anyway, I'll let you go, man. It's been really fun talking regarding Netflix's platform. I actually fucking took notes on something. That's how
nice.
much I never do. I haven't been able to concentrate on something for more than fucking 2 seconds, and I fucking sat down and diligently took notes on the shite I was watching. That is how quickly Netflix properties fucking dislodge themselves from your mind. You need to record the evidence that it happened. Otherwise there will be no trace